Hello Internet, and welcome to a new tutorial. So I've been testing out the Delay Eternity and Delay Brigade plugins from Arturia, and whenever I'm trying a new delay plugins, I usually go with the same kind of procedure. Basically, I'll feed it with a really quick burst of noise, and I'll set the delay times to really quick, give them some feedback, and basically make them resonate. It's the same concept behind the nano style percussions, which I made tutorials about it. I'll leave a link right somewhere on the screen. So basically, my first impression on a delay plugin is based on how it's resonating and the character it got while doing so. And then for sure, I'll conduct other tests like some general 1/8 dotted, ping pong, etc., etc. And by the way, so far, no plugin did it better than Echo Boy for a general delay plugin. You can convince me in the comment section that your general delay plugin is better than Echo Boy, but leave that to the comment section. Now, while conducting my tests on these two delay plugins from Arturia, something really psychedelic, really dark, really foresty, extremely experimental happened, and I want to show you this thing in today's tutorial. But before we dive into this tutorial, if you'd like to support the channel, you can consider becoming one of my patrons, buy my presets on Gumroad, or just leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Things like that helps the channel a lot. Now with that said, let's dive into this tutorial. Okay, so here we are in Bitwig. This is our first project, and I've turned off all of the synthesizer. I left only the kick and bass and the percussions. So basically we have this. Pretty nice, right? So here's an empty instrument track, and the first thing that we're going to do is create the burst of noise. So for this, I'm going to use the Mini V from Arturia. It's basically a Minimoog emulation, and actually I'm going to dedicate a full tutorial about it later on because I think it has a lot of psychedelic juice to give, but that's going to be for another tutorial. Today we will just use it to create these bursts of noise. So first of all, I'll set in here a new preset. I'll turn off all of the oscillators, right? I'll keep this the noise one. I'll give it full noise. So now we have this. What I'm going to do, I'll turn off the keyboard tracking for the filter. I'll turn down the sustain of the VCA, so now I have this. Really fast burst of noise. And what's really interesting about this synthesizer emulation is that it has a built-in arpeggiator, right? So I'm going to set it to play, and I'll set it to a tempo of 4, which is basically 1/16. So now we have this. Okay, pretty cool. Now the next thing I'm going to do is we have an LFO, as you can see in here. I'll set it to sample and hold, and I'll set it to MIDI sync and the rate to 4. Again, 1/16. And I'll use this extensive modulation matrix that we have in here to modulate with the LFO the envelope decay. So I'll set it to the VCA envelope decay. Let me turn off this one. And now we have this. Maybe I'll close it a little bit. Really nice. So just give it a little bit of groove. Now what I'm going to do, I'll close the filter till we barely hear the noise. Somewhere in here should be good. And I'll open it with a percussive envelope in here that has no sustain and a little bit of decay. Just like so. I want to keep it dark. And what I'm going to do with the same LFO, I'm going to modulate the decay time of the filter envelope just to give it some groove. So LFO, VCF, envelope decay, just a tiny bit. Now we have this. Pretty nice. Now this groove that we're creating with these two envelopes, the filter and this LFO, will determine how the overall sound will be. So don't hesitate to actually go and dial different settings and see how, everything will change. And for sure, I'm using this emulation because I really love it and because it gives me a lot of control on the overall sound and character of these bursts of noise, but that doesn't mean that you can't use other synthesizers. Now, with that said, this is the synthesizer part of things. Now, let's move on to the more interesting part, which is the delays. So this is Delay Eternity by Arturia. It's their flagship digital delay, and it has two delay lines that you can set, well, either in single mode, ping pong, pan, or in dual parallel mode, dual serial mode. There's a bit crusher on the output of the delay, and there's also a filter on the output of the delay. The filter is really interesting because you can set it to 6 dB, and it's basically a state variable filter, high pass, band pass, low pass, or SEM, same, high pass, band pass, low pass, or 36 decibel per octave, high pass, band pass, low pass. And the SEM is really interesting because it has resonance and you can make it resonate. So yeah, really nice to have on a filter. And you can set the bit crusher and the filter to either the first delay or the second delay or both or none at the same time. Let's turn them off for now. Then there's 3 delay times, basically fade, digital repitch, and this will determine the character and how the delay will react while you will change the delay times while feeding something into it. And this is the thing that we will pay a lot of attention to while, feeding these percussive burst of noise into this delay. We have a mid-side mode, basically mid and side instead of left and right. And then we have this really interesting advanced mode that has an input equalizer, pretty basic 3-band equalizer with high pass, low pass, and a bell shape for the middles. There's an envelope follower and 2 LFOs. And the envelope follower and the LFOs, each one of them has 2 destinations to modulate, and they cover almost all of the delay, and this is where the magic happens. So check this out. If I'll set this first line in here, I'll unsync it and I'll set it to something really fast. And I'll set the feedback a little bit low so we won't blow the speakers, neither your ears. And let's set it to something like, I don't know, 60 milliseconds. Check this out. Pretty interesting, right? Now let's take this first telephone here, set it to sample and hold. I'll sync it and I'll set the rate to, no, let's set it to 1 and 4. I want it to be a little bit slow, and I'm going to modulate the delay time in here. So I'll set it to line 1, left and right, and let's give it some modulation. So now we have this. Okay, pretty interesting. Now let's set the time mode to digital and check how it's affecting the sound. See, it doesn't sound the same as with fade. For me, repitch is way too crazy. I'll keep it on digital. Pretty cool. Now what I'll do, I'll take the first filter in here, set it to line 1, I'll set it to SEM, I'll close it a little bit, I'll give it more resonance, just like so, and I'll use the second LFO on triangle to modulate it. I'll sync it and I'll set the rate to 1 and 2, just like so, and I'll make it modulate the filter cutoff. So now we have this. Let's give it a little bit more echo time. Pretty crazy, right? We're starting to get some psychedelic tones out of it. Now let's use the envelope follower to shorten the delay times, right? So it's like ducking them back to like 0 with really fast attack and really fast release. So if I set it to line 1, left and right, pretty crazy. Let's give it more wet signal. These crazy psychedelic tones, right? Now I want to give it a delay, basically, just a delay effect. Now I can use the second line in here, but since this is a digital reverb, the sound is way too clean, right? Like, let's set it to dual serial in here for a second. Let's turn off the bit crushing and the filter on the second line. I'll set it to 1/8. I'll give it some feedback, yeah, and offset a little bit the left and right. So now we have this. It sounds okay, but as you can hear, it's not that gritty. I want a gritty sound. And from my own experience, there's nothing grittier when it comes to delay than BBD delays. So that's why we're going to use Delay Brigade from Arturia for this task. So let's say delay eternity to single in here. Let's get Delay Brigade. So what's Delay Brigade? These are, as far as I know, the first delays that used integrated circuits to create delays. And they are gritty. I mean, let's set this delay, first of all, to the BBD size to 1100. Let's set it to ping pong in here. Let's sync it. And let's set the delays to 1/8, basically. Let's give it some feedback. Leave the blend the way it is. And check what we will have when I'll press play. Okay, a little bit too crazy. Let's get back to delay eternity in here. Set the rate of the first LFO to 1 bar, just like so. And take down some of the delay in here and a little bit of the feedback in here. Pretty crazy results, right? Now let's get back to the mini V in here, close the filter a little bit and check how this will change the character of the sound. This is crazy. And now we can play with these settings as much as we would like and get nastier results out of them. Like, check this out. And now with the kick and bass, check what we have. Isn't this just like crazy, dark, psychedelic? I really love these things. And yeah, go play with these plugins or your favorite delays and, you know, get experimental with them. And yeah, with this is the end of this tutorial. I really hope you've liked it. I really hope you've learned something new. See you next time.